Welcome to today's webinar, Shift Proof, your social media lead generation, hosted by MAPS coach Deana Watson. Before I kick it over to Deana, I just have three quick announcements. Please note this meeting is being recorded. I will share the link in the chat momentarily to the MAPS YouTube channel, where the recording will become available within 24 hours. Currently, everyone is on mute. However, we do value group participation, so we ask that if you have any questions for Deana, please type them into the chat box. She'll get to them as best as possible throughout today. Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or any other coaching programs, please don't hesitate and email us at fasttrack, FASTTRACK @kw.com. That's all for me, Deana. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Graham. All right, so we're going to have a little test right out of the gate to see if you guys know how to use the chat box. I'm going to have you put in there where you are zooming in, where you located right now. And don't put your house or the office. Like, that's not fun, right? We all know that. So give us where, oh, wow, there's a lot of people. Cool. We've got all kinds of folks. We even have somebody from Canada. Oh my gosh. Love it. All right. So it looks like everyone knows how to use the chat box, so we're good with that. So now we can say if you have a question, you know how to submit it. Once this stops, probably in like 5 minutes when the internet catches up with how fast your fingers are going, I will put my email address in there before we kick this off so that you guys, if you have any questions after this that were not answered or not addressed, you know how to reach me. So if everybody could stop real quick, that's my, oh no, it's gone. I'll type it back in there. We'll do it later. I think the winner though is Portugal. So we're going to say that Portugal is probably the farthest way. I am in Tennessee, right outside of Nashville. That really doesn't matter. We're just having a little fun to get started. So today we're going to talk about how to shift proof your social media lead gen. And we're going to start off by kind of identifying what the whole concept around shift proofing means. And then I'll put my email at the end so that we don't have people still putting where they're coming from. So a little bit about me. Some of this doesn't really make any difference, but it's on here anyway. I am a MAPS mastery coach. I am the person who teaches the social media course for MAPS. I'm also a rainmaker of a team, the community co-leader of KW Military. My husband's in the Special Forces in the U.S. Army. I'm a boy mom. I'm actually a dog lover, and right now I'm having to pet her to make sure she doesn't bark during the middle of this. She's literally like right here. So just trying to keep her at bay because she's clearly being needy. And I also love everything social media and branding. So you're going to see a lot of that tethered through here. If you want to take a screenshot of this, it might be your best bet to get the contact info out of the chat box. If you have questions about the content for today's class, you can email me, Deana Watson @kw.com. If you have admin questions, you can email fasttrack@kw.com, and it is 2 T's, fast track. So a little bit of a tongue twister there. And the recording will be available on the YouTube channel for Fast Track 24 hours from now, but I will also be emailing it to you the day after tomorrow. So if you need the recording, you can either go find it or you can wait for me to send it to you. Whichever one works best for you. I do not care either way. So we have 3 objectives for today. Today's class is probably going to be 30-ish minutes with a little bit of Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in there as you have them, and I will answer them whenever we come to a good stopping point. But what I really hope for you guys today, first and foremost, anytime I teach something like this, I want there to be at least one thing that you can take from spending 30 minutes with me and actually use it right away. So my hope for the whole thing is that you come out of this with one thing you can either do better, one thing you can start doing, one thing you can stop doing, just one thing. My 3 objectives for today, first of all, is to help you gain an understanding of how the shift is going to impact your lead gen strategy. So we're going to start with that. I want you to think about, and some of you might be new here. Some of you may have never gone to a closing table in your whole life other than when you've bought a home. And that's okay. Does not matter. But I want you to think really quickly about last year, 2022. I want you to think again, and if you want to close your eyes as long as you're driving, you can. You don't have to. But I want you to write down in the chat box or on a piece of paper, what did it feel like in your lead gen between January and June? Write it down, put it in the chat box, whatever you want to do. What did your lead generation feel like between January and June of 2022? What did it feel like in lead gen? Roller coaster, inconsistent, hard to make time for it, all over the place. Yeah, was it hard or was it something you just didn't do consistently? All right, so then I want you to really take another second. Yeah, someone said we had too many clients. That was a problem a lot of people had. They were working too much, popcorning around, trying to get something under contract because everything was competition, that they didn't have time for lead gen. Now, I want you to think about what happened after July, between July and now. What does it feel like right now to be in lead generation in general, not social media specific? What does it feel like between July and now to be in lead gen? Pulling teeth? Yep, could be one of them. Normal, slower, exhausting. I love all of these. All over, struggle. It's not true lead gen. A lot of calls to get appointments, slow, overwhelming. Okay, I want you to look at your two answers. Close the chat box. Don't worry about everybody else. What is the dichotomy or the difference between how it felt to lead gen when the market was, let's say, hotter, easier, faster, whatever you want, whatever adjective you want to give it, versus how it is now? I want you to think about how quickly that change happened. We don't care why it happened right now. We're not going to talk about that during this class. But really what happened is that something in all of our markets between May and July and August shifted. So make no mistake, you guys, every one of us is in a shift of some sort. We're not waiting for it anymore. We're not hearing predictions anymore. Something happened that was out of your control, and now things are different. By definition, that's pretty close to the best definition of a shift I can imagine. So we're going to talk next. We're going to go into more details of that here in a little bit, but I wanted you to at least have the visual in your mind. We're going to also define how your approach to lead gen has to change. The things that you're saying have to change. Your messaging has to change. And then towards the end, we're going to talk about a plan that you can create that works for bringing you business and engagement no matter what's going on in the real estate market. I want to first give you a pretty decent understanding of how social media actually works for real estate agents. First thing first, you're not just a realtor or a realtor, depending on where you are in the country or the world. Most people don't actually ever grasp this concept. Now, I'm also going to ask you to play along again in the chat box or on a piece of paper. How much of your posts on social media have to do with you, your personal beliefs, the things you do for the community, the places that you visit? If you had 100% of the total, how much of it is not real estate related right now? How much of it is not real estate related right now? Yeah, so we've got a big, vast difference between 100% to 5%. So the people who it is not real estate related, I could ask you the question, are you putting enough about your profession in there? The people who everything is real estate related, I could ask, are you putting enough about your life? I would say that personally, for me, what I have found works extremely well is what I call the rule of 1/3. This could be something you take down and take into your life and you use. It's pretty easy. 1/3 of what I post has to do with my business. 1/3 of my posts have to do with my business. 1/3 of my posts have to do with my personal life. That includes my kid. That includes my crazy dog. That includes all things in between, like you see here, a food drive that we did. And 1/3 of it is inspirational or informational. Okay. I follow that flow. And if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see that almost every single thing I do is about 30% because it comes across to the world as balance. I'm not one way or the other. I want you guys to understand that people are going to choose to do business with you, not because of what you know, but because of who you are. They're not doing business with you because of what you know. They're doing business with you because of who you are. Here's the thing I think a lot of us forget. Every single person with a real estate license in your city, state, county, whatever, has the same access. Do we not? We all have the same access to the MLS if you're a part of that. We all have the same access technically to the amount of people buying and selling. We all have the same access to every front doorstep of our entire community. And yet what's different? What makes people stand out? It's who they are. It's their interpretation of the information, not the information itself. So when you're posting on social media at all, please understand Just putting out the information is no longer enough. It's what does that mean to you and what's in it for them? What does the information mean to you? What is your unique spin on it? They come to you for who you are and what you know and your interpretation of what you know. What's your unique spin on the information? And don't forget, every human being is tuned into the same radio station. What's in it for me? You need to be able to articulate what's in it for them. But I want you to actually get in your mind the fact that if you are not on social media posting things about your whole self, you're only getting a certain percentage of the opportunity available in that source. Now, there are a lot of people who don't want to do that, and that is okay. You're just likely never going to have everything that you could from that source. And if you're okay with that, it's okay with me. I will tell you, I've created certain rules around my life so that it is a safety thing. So I'm not ever tagged in where I'm currently sitting. I don't ever actually post events until I'm already gone. I understand this, I am married to a Green Beret. I understand the safety protocols and they have been beating me over the head with them. I got that. That's not what I'm referring to. You do have to show a little bit of your personal side to make social media work for you. So I want you to take a second. Don't post this in the chat box, write it down. If you were not, we're gonna create a narrative here, 5 minutes or less. If you were not allowed to talk about how much real estate you sold, how you were the top agent, how you sold homes for more money in less time, if you couldn't talk about any of that, why should someone choose you to represent them? Go ahead and write it down. Why would someone choose you to represent them? And for some of you asking in the chat box, this is stuff that's all done on your personal page, not your business page. If you were not allowed to talk about vanity metrics, meaning your amount of transactions, your amount of money, your awards, any of that, why would they choose you as a human being to represent them in the largest transaction of their lives? You see, y'all finish this later if you want. People are actually attracted to you through social media because of what you stand for, something you represent, and what you know, not your professional status. They don't care. They don't care. They're coming to you for something else entirely. And most of you have never sat down and taken the time to figure out what that thing is. So we're going to get started on what I would call the 6 rules of engagement. Okay, and you can screenshot this if you want. The slides are not going to be made available, but you can rewatch it and just screenshot the whole thing if you wanted to. But some people have asked about this slide specifically, so go ahead and screenshot it. These are my 6 rules for engagement for how I've been successful on social media. Something else could work for you. These are my 6. The first one is define the plan. Are you going to use social media to meet new people, or are you going there to strengthen relationships you already have? Here's the thing, you guys, if you don't want to create ads, I haven't done that either. I don't do that. All of our stuff is organic. All of our stuff is true relationship building. All of our stuff is my true life. I am on social media to strengthen relationships with people that I already know or people that they know. I'm not placing ads. Second thing, be authentic. The worst thing you can do is to show up on here acting like someone else entirely, because here's the thing. When they meet you in person, have you ever went to buy something and it wasn't what you thought it was? Raise your virtual hand or your actual hand. What does that feel like to you? It's horrible because it's like buying something on Amazon and you get it and you're like, this is way smaller than I thought it was going to be, or way larger, or just the colors are off. It's horrible. And here's the thing. If you're not authentic on social media, you don't show up as your true self. That's what you're doing to other people. It's like those people who still walk around. Please don't take offense if this is you, with their headshot from 20 years ago. You don't look like that anymore, right? None of us do. We could have been as beautiful as possible 20 years ago, but no matter what, time struck and we don't look that way. Be authentic. The worst thing you can do is show up being someone else. Next, be consistent. The absolute most important part about all of this is that you have to be consistent with it and continue to show up and continue to post, because posting and ghosting no longer works. Okay. The algorithm, which we don't talk about in this webinar, I talked about last one that we did about 2 weeks ago, and the recording's available. You can go watch it. Facebook and Meta is actually ranking the consistency of your posting. So if you are not posting consistently, and we won't get into the details of this, but high level overview, if you're not posting consistently and getting engagement consistently, they kind of turn down the dial on your profile. They're not showing you to as many people. Number 4, define your target audience. The key component to success in messaging of any kind, and don't mistake this, guys, when you're a real estate agent and you're advertising, you are messaging. You're defining a message that lands with a certain group of people. The key thing here is understanding who you're speaking to. Without that, you can't really create effective ads that land with someone if you don't know who you're wanting to land with. I'll give you my own personal example that might help hit this home a little bit. Probably about 5 years ago, we went through this whole rebranding. We changed the colors, we did it all. And we started thinking about who is our actual audience. Now, for a long time, I've been selling real estate for 11 or 12 years now. For a long time, I just thought it was the military. Like, we represent the military because we live in a military community. For some of you, it might be luxury, or for some of you, it might be sports and entertainment or land or whatever, right? But for us, I was like, oh, it's just the military. Well, what I realized when I went through to define my audience was that I'm not actually working with or representing the military service member. My audience is the spouse, because who is the one traveling around and likely making those decisions? A lot of times it's the spouse. So our marketing had to change from something that was geared towards the military service member to speak to their spouses. They're not the same thing. So take your own spin on that. But number 4 is you have to define what it is or who it is. Number 5, once you know who you're speaking to, ask yourself, what are their pain points in the real estate transaction? And then what are their pain points in general? These are 2 separate questions. What are their pain points for real estate related things? And then what are their pain points in general? Because here's the thing. People buy into a plan before they will ever buy into a person. They're going to buy the plan. The MOFR, make offer for immediate response, is the plan, not you. They don't want to work with you just because you've sold real estate. They want to work with you because you've sold real estate and you understand how to get their home sold for X amount of money, X amount of dollars, and you've had success. So number 6 is create the plan to fix the problems. Speaking to a particular person, figuring out what they have issues with, and then already having a plan to fix those problems is where you're going to land the plane. Okay, this is exactly what you're going to do that's going to land that for you. All right, so let's go into what does shift proof actually mean? And I feel like this is my personal opinion. This is not the opinion of KWRI or MAPS or anybody else. This is my personal opinion. There are 3 components to making something shift proof. First, it works for the market you're going into. That actually is a Gary Keller thing. We are working towards the market we're moving towards. This is why I was asking you about the difference between January to June 2022 and July to now. What we were doing 9 months ago, doesn't work anymore. So whenever you're creating a plan for your social media, the messaging also has to change. Think about what messages worked in the 2019 to 2022 market. I can get you there quickly. I can negotiate this. We get, we blah, blah, blah. Anything that had to do with speed worked really well, right? Now, the 2023 to 2026, or however long this will last, that message might have to do with skill. But if you're still on social media talking about how quick you move and how fast things go, and the fact that you got to get out there by the next day, that message probably won't land because that's not what's important today. So the first thing on your social media profile and your marketing plans, and you guys, this even goes down into your drip campaigns. Have you audited your drip campaigns for your online lead services? They likely have messages in them from COVID. None of that's what happens anymore. So a lot of us don't think about that, but the best thing you could do for yourself right now is audit your messaging. How are you coming across and what are you telling people you do? Because that's not the game we're playing anymore, okay? It's something that has to be built on what you call an evergreen plan. Okay, I love this and I hate it at the same time because I have evergreen trees in my backyard that are deader than a doornail right now. So I hate that for this moment. They got too much water and they died. But in general, an evergreen tree will not turn brown. It will stay green and beautiful all the time. because it doesn't matter what's going on in the environment. That tree is unfazed, other than if you're in my backyard, then you're dead right now. But during a shift, you guys need to focus your time on creating a plan that will work for what we're going into, but it is also something that you guys can use over and over and over and over again. Over and over and over and over, forever until the end of time. Now, number 3, the last part, and I think the most important part, it has to be something that you are able to stick to for a long period of time. You guys, a shift is not a moment in time. It's not a month on the calendar. There are some reports that this could go on for 18 to 24 months. Okay. We don't know where the bottom of the shift is, and we don't know where the top starts to go up. But here's the other thing that's interesting to me. Depending on where your clients are moving away from to come to your area, it might be different where they are, and they're not used to what's going on in your area. So for example, if I were getting a client from California, they might have already been feeling this for 6 months, but where we live, it just got started. So am I able, or is that agent able, to continue to work this plan for 18 to 24 months? I also bring that up because anything that you are doing right now on your social media content creation side, or any other part of your business really, that hasn't been thought through enough to ask yourself, can I actually do this for 18 months? Can I farm for 18 months without getting anything to come from it, just in blind faith? Can I cold call for 18 months? Can I door knock for 18 months? The most important third component to me, my personal opinion, of any plan that would be shift proof is something you can actually stick to. Now, here's the other thing. There is no magic wand. You're not going to magically wake up tomorrow and be a completely different human being. We get that. But is it something that you could work towards and make it work for a very long period of time without a predictable outcome? The reason I'm saying this is because a lot of people get into doing something, social media, farming, door knocking, whatever, and they say, well, if this doesn't work in the next 3 months, I'm going to quit. But the reality is, for those things, usually it's month 12 to 18 where the gold starts to come through. But they didn't make the schedule for it. They didn't create the budget for it. They don't have the plan for it. And it wasn't predictable enough in the middle during the shift, right, to make it worth it for them. So the question is, do you have a plan that works for the market that you're going into? Is it something that's built on partial evergreen content, meaning you could use it anytime? And is it something you're actually able to stick to for a long period of time? Notice I didn't say, do you want to stick to it for a long period of time? This is not a time in our lives in this industry that has anything to do with what we want. It's what we have to do to survive so that we can thrive later. Now, here are 4 things. If you're looking for something tactical, like, okay, cool, I love all of that. And here are 4 things that I think every one of us should be doing every week on social media. Number 1, interact with your social media friends list on a consistent basis. I would choose 15 people every day. 15 people every single day. And notice I said interact with, it didn't say talk at. So you're not sending out 15 messages and running off. This is 15 two-way conversations every single day. And you asked, why did I pick 15? It's not random. For a very long time, we were doing 5. And because I love Gary Keller, and I think a lot of what he says eventually ends up happening, he said you're going to have to double or triple your efforts to keep yourself at the constant where you've been. So if I've been doing 5, now my number is 15. And here's the thing. If you've got great conversion, and eventually you see great conversion, dial it back if you want to. I'm going to tell you, you built the habit already, keep going and just make more money. But 15 people a day that you're going to make a two-way conversation happen with. Number 2, post and message people when they are online. You have a higher response rate for those. So what you're going to do is you're going to go onto your Messenger app, wherever you're on, Facebook, Instagram, doesn't matter. If there's a little green bubble beside their name, they are currently in the platform. Facebook bases everything, Meta bases everything on interactions and engagement. So I'm saying this because part of the way you can start to hack the algorithm is if you are messaging people when they're likely to message you back. That tells Facebook, Meta, whatever, that you guys are important to each other. It tells them that you want to be in communication with each other. So use the platform to your advantage. Number 3, people usually don't like this, and it really doesn't matter because it's what you have to do. Go live and post video frequently. Every single one of the social platforms are after YouTube, by the way, guys, in some way. They are after the competition between them and where they want to be, which is the video platform of YouTube. In some way, they're all competing for that. And now you even see YouTube competing in the other direction by creating YouTube Shorts to compete with Reels and TikToks. So think about that. If the platforms that are multi-billion-dollar companies say they want to be a video platform, what do you think they're not going to show your followers? Things that are not video. These don't have to be sexy. They don't have to be edited. But every single day, do at least one short form video. It's 90 seconds or less. Finally, number 4, use your clients' social media postings as a reason to reach out offline. Now, here's what I mean by that. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago. It was the best reaction we've ever had. We had a mom post a picture of her kid's report card. They had been struggling academically. It was his first time for all A's. And she was excited, right? And she posted it on Facebook. So we took and we got out 2 cards. One was for her, congratulating her on all the hard work of getting, all the things arranged with her kid. And the other one was to the child. And in the kid's card was a gift card to Baskin Robbins. And what we had in there was congratulations on making all A's, get your mom or dad or whoever was the parent at that time to take you out for ice cream on us. And I will tell you, we got so many, we still get referrals from that lady. And we'd sent anniversary cards. We'd sent her birthday cards. We had sent her all kinds of stuff, but it wasn't until we recognized her in private for something she shared in public that she was very proud of, did she truly connect with us. That was the tipping point. If you've never read the book, Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, it's a great book about what is the thing that takes it over the edge. That was it for her. You guys, a lot of us, when we come to these classes, we think I need to create content and ads and I need to do all these things. And then we just say, nah, whatever, I'll go on to what I was doing. Your client base is sharing most of the big moments of their lives for you to see right there in front of everybody. They're posting about it on social media. Sit down every day and pick 2 people. I didn't put the number on here. I would say 2. Pick 2 people every day that you can take something they posted on social media and actually use it as a reason to handwrite a note card to them and send it through the mail. It will be game-changing for you, I promise, if you just commit to that. Speaking of games, I want you to understand that social media success is a game that you're playing. You're playing a game with an algorithm. You're playing a game with a computer system that doesn't care anything about you. It's data in and data out. So here are some things I want you to understand about that. Number 1, you have to time block to plan the plan. I think one thing that coaching in general has failed us in over the years is we just talk about, as coaches, we talk to you guys about time blocking, but we don't talk about how you actually have to do it. You're not just time blocking to put the content out there. You have to time block a few different things. You'll see 4 of them on here. And yes, these are separate time blocks, and you can apply this to your whole business. But the first one for social media is time block to plan what the actual plan is. Now, what does that mean? Maybe it's a week every single month where you spend 4 hours, 1 day a month, planning out what you're going to say that month. Maybe you got events going on in your community. Between now and family reunion, this 30 days for me personally is all about the lead up to family reunion with KW Military. But we've got a time block to actually plan what the plan's going to be. The second one is time block to build the content. Maybe that's a blog. Maybe that's video. I don't know. But if you're doing one every single day, one short form video, my best suggestion for you would be to have one theme a month. So this next month in February might be all about, all about creative financing. Have a lender on there, TCPA compliance, that whole thing. We're not cold calling people or whatever else. My best suggestion for you when you talk about time block to build the content is that you're building the content off of the theme, because then you only have to have 12 concepts a year and you're elaborating on those concepts instead of trying to make something different up every single day. Then your third time block on your schedule is actually run the play. Run the plan. That's where we mess up. We do time to either plan or we do time to build the content, but we don't also set a secondary time block to actually type it out and hit go. The fourth one, time block to follow up. And that doesn't just mean with people who are actually coming through and raising their hand about real estate. Time block to follow up might simply mean that you're time blocking to go back in and engage with people who commented on that thing. Remember when I said you're playing a game? One of the games that you're playing with the social media algorithms are how engaged are you and the person that's writing right in front of you. So I'm gonna pick on one of you because Mike, you're sitting right in front of me. Of the 300 people on here, you're the lucky guy that's right on the top of my screen. But if Mike is somebody that I want to be in a better relationship with on social media, one of the things I have to do is engage with him in the platform, meaning I have to comment on his stuff. I have to share his stuff. I have to send him private messages. I tell the joke all the time, my husband and I don't see anything that we post on social media because the algorithm doesn't think we're important to each other. Why? Because we don't talk on Facebook. We talk on live and we talk in text messages. We don't go into the platform. That same thing is happening to you and all of your other clients. If you're not actually in the platform having a conversation with them and you think they're seeing everything you post, they're not seeing any of it actually. And that's the sad part. You're going out of your way to make all this stuff and they're not seeing it because you're not time blocking to actually follow up and engage. Number 5. This one most people hate. Post multiple times a day. If I had to give you an idea of how many would create success, I don't think I could because each one of you is in a very different starting point. So I'll give you some ranges. If you currently don't post at all, I would probably post at least 1 time per day. Now, it doesn't have to be elaborate or well thought through. It just has to be, hey, here's what I'm doing. For now, we're just building a habit 1 time a day. If you're pretty consistent posting at least once a day, I'm going to ask you to post on your news feed once a day, but then post in stories 2 to 3 times a day. I know this is where I lose a lot of you. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so many. If you're posting once a day on your wall or they used to call it your wall, on your news feed, and then you're posting a few times a day in stories, I want you to now add a reel. Make a short form video every single day. Basically, what I want you to hear is wherever you are, take it up a half notch from there, get consistent with that, and then keep adding. The last one I said on here, don't only post about real estate. That is one of the pieces to the game that you're playing. And I'm going to give you a statistic and then we're going to move on. 94% of this country is not moving this year. 94% of the people you know are not transacting in real estate this year, no matter how many times you call them and ask them for a referral. They're not doing it. Statistics show that 6 to 7% of the United States of America transacts in real estate in any given year. Now, why does that matter? Because if all you're talking about is real estate in your personal life, they don't have 94% of the people on the planet have no reason to pay attention to you. The path is in the math. I've always been told that, and it's always been true for me. The question you have to ask yourself, and the question I want you guys to answer offline, is what do the 94% of other people actually care about in your community? And how can you start posting about that? Now, the next thing as we're going through, double check your social media messaging. Every market cycle has its own unique concerns, trials, tribulations, and opportunities. Using the same messaging from the years past, even from last year at this point, is not going to result in the same thing. When the market shifts, the problems shift and the solutions do too. When your market shifts, the problems shift and your solutions do too. So step 1, check your messaging. Number 2, ask yourself, what are the current problems that consumers have? And number 3, what's your plan to solve the problems? If I were to give you a number 4, it's how are you going to articulate that you do solve the problems? Because here's the one thing I want all of you to hear. You're all wonderful human beings, and most of you know so many things. And a lot of you have actually forgotten most of what you know, and it's become subconscious, right? The challenge is, you can't attract clients without spitting out of your mouth what you know in your head. You have to get everything out of here and into the world for them to come to you for what you know. So being on your high horse or your, glass house or whatever people call it, touting the fact that you're the most experienced actually doesn't matter to the consumer because they don't know that. They don't know that because you've not shown off the things that you actually know. That is why your messaging is so important. Okay. All right. Adjust your content. And we're going to be done here in just a couple minutes. So if you've got things in the chat, I will answer them. And if you have questions, put them in the chat. It's your like 5-minute warning here. Adjust your content. Speak to the program, not to the person. Remember, people will buy why you do something and what you do before they buy into you. They don't care about you until they get to know you. Okay, so speak to what the program is that you've built, not all about you. We are in a skills-based market. So in a skills-based market, you can't cover up your lack of skill or lack of having a program by being fast anymore, by being speedy. Today's consumer is looking for an agent with the best program available to sell their home or to help them buy one. I also want to remind you, if you have the best program available, but you don't tell anybody, you basically don't have a program at all because no one knows about it. Okay. Next, video your success stories. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, any of those platforms are wanting to see video. So if something you did last year was take a picture at the closing table, I love it. Take it up a notch and actually ask those people how their experience was. Obviously, get their permission to share the video and then share that success story. Testimonials also, you guys can be a solid source of passive lead gen on Facebook. Most people will do business with someone that was recommended to them before they would seek out professionals like us on their own. Same thing with restaurants, right? Best Mediterranean food near me. You've never eaten at that place, but because 762 other people gave it a 3.5-star review, you're not going because it's not 4.5 stars, right? Think about all the decisions that you make about things that are $15 that you either buy or don't buy because of testimonials. That's no different in our industry. We just don't pay a lot of attention to it. Now, the last piece before we move on is, what do you really need to do to make this work for you? And I'm going to read this to you, and you can take this however you'd like and leave the rest on the floor. The biggest thing you need to put into place is a plan for content. In 23, you really have to embrace that you are a marketing company that just so happens to sell real estate. Think about this. If only 6% of Americans are moving each year, what content should you be posting to have a 100% chance that the people you're consuming your content can relate to it? The answer, post things about your community as a whole. No matter the market, people will always be attracted to live local types of content. Here's the thing, you guys. What we want from this class is I want you to understand that shift-proofing your plan on social media actually has nothing to do with how many ads you make. It has nothing to do with how many leads you generate. Yeah, you can do that too. But here's the thing. In a moment's notice, if you don't build something that's truly your own and something shifts like the algorithm, your whole plan is off if you don't have something that's evergreen and can work for you going into the future. Now, if you want to, no obligation, of course, and some people have said, I don't know how to get there, so I put a QR code on the screen. I do launch an 8-week course that I teach this kind of stuff in through MAPS that starts on January 7th. We do skip the week of family reunion, but it's at 2 p.m. Central Time every single week. If you want to join it, go ahead and scan that. If you want more information, you can send me an email. I'm going to go ahead and post my email address in the chat box real quick, and I can send you like the syllabus or what the content is that we're learning, whatever you want to know. Aside from that, I do want to recap real quick, and then we will get you out of here, and I will email you this recording later on. Number one, in order to put yourself in a position to at least make $100,000 in the next 12 months through social media, you have to first block your schedule. It's a commitment. It takes time. Number two, put together a system around content. We talked about that a little bit. Number three, I want you guys to figure out what your mofer or your mousetrap is that will bring people to you, whether that's live local content or something else, really is up to you. And number four, remember to use your social media to nurture your current relationships. If you guys need anything, you know how to get a hold of me. My email's in the chat box. I'm going to go real quick and I'm going to answer some questions. Someone said MOFER ? So MOFER is an acronym that stands for Make Offer for Immediate Response. Basically, something like 72 Sold. 72 Sold is a MOFER program. We kind of all know about this right now because it's the biggest thing going on. But and I don't actually need your emails. I get a list of everybody who is on here. But thank you so much for like making sure that I'm on track. I appreciate it. Can you give us a simple answer on to use or not use the business page? Cool. Yes. So a lot of people came to these classes 6 years ago when I first started them because their broker said everything has to go through a business page. Your broker probably didn't understand social media 7 or 8 years ago any more than most of the country, right? So that's what they assumed needed to happen. Here's what I know to be true. If people can't get to know you, they likely won't choose you to do business with. And the way that Facebook and specifically Facebook for this question, they are not showing your content on a business page to people who aren't frequenting the business page. Facebook is a business that wants you to pay for people to see that. So if you are in 2023 not pumping money behind your business page, like making ads and boosting posts and all that stuff, most people will never even know you have a business page, even if they're your friends on Facebook. That is more of what I would consider the billboard. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen that person around town, right? Your personal page is where most of this stuff would go, in addition to some things on the business page. But most of what we've talked about today would go on your personal page, because that's where people are going to actually get introduced to you. That's where they're going to meet you. That's where they're going to watch your content, see about your family, all the things. They're going to figure out they like you. And then what they would likely do is hop to your business page for validation. Reviews. If you don't currently get reviews on Facebook, I probably would start doing that. They're going to check reviews. They're going to check, how many homes you've sold and what you're posting on there. But most people go to the business page for validation of a decision they've already made. They're not learning about you and getting to know you there. I think that's the only. What do you recommend messaging people on Facebook or Instagram? I really think it, and yes, stories do count as posts. I really just think it depends on the person. Like if you followed something they have going on, for example, we'll talk about family reunion since it's coming up. There are a couple people I've seen post about how they've gotten invites to speak on panels. My messages to them would likely be about that. Hey, tell me a little bit more about this. What is that? I see you're speaking at your convention. What is this? And how did you get invited? I'd probably strike up conversation for that. Should I get rid of my business page? No, because let me ask you this. If somebody were recommended to you and they went on Facebook specifically because they love Facebook and they went to look you up and nothing was there, what would they assume? That you were not in business anymore. So make sure that you also have that on there. Let's see. Okay. If you guys have any more questions, I don't see them on here. So send me an email really quickly. I might have a lag, I'm not sure, but I don't see anything else popping up. Send me whatever questions you have that maybe were on here and I didn't catch them. But if you have any questions about anything, my email address is the last thing in the chat box that I see. And I will also send you guys all an email in the next 48 hours with this recording. And so if you just forget my email or whatever, you can respond to that. But I appreciate all of you guys being here today. And if you're going to be at Family Reunion, come find me. I will be in the vendor hall, wandering around, probably as lost as the rest of you. Just snag me and say hey, and I would love to meet you guys in person. We'll see you soon. Have a great day.